from here, basic rules, until here. This is the information which is useful for you, right? So by reference list, we mean the list of the references. In your case, when you are doing your annotated bibliography, the annotated bibliography is the, targeted reference list. Most probably, you are going to use the same resources in your paper that you will write. Okay, so therefore, the rules we learn here will be equally helpful uh, for the reference list that you will prepare at the end of your assignment as well. Okay, so let me open this one. I hope it works. So reference list basic rules. So here are a few basic rules. Starting from formatting a reference list. Okay, you can go a little over here. Yeah. So basic rules for most sources. Now over here we see these are the points that we need to be aware of, right? So these are some general rules. Okay, let's go over them. If you look at the first one, it says all lines after the first line of each entry in your reference list. By reference list, we mean the list of the resources, okay, or the list of the uh, annotated bibliography, right? All the resources in there. So all lines after the first line of each entry in your reference list should be indented 1/2 inch from the left margin. This is called hanging indentation. This is one general rule which will apply to all the citations, 10 or a little more, that you give in your annotated bibliography. So the second line after the first line, all the lines after the first line in each entry, they are indented 1/2 inch, right, from the left margin, indented towards the right. The second rule which applies all kind of citations is that all the author's name should be inverted. That is, last name should be provided first. Okay? So if somebody's name is Mary Smith, okay, so the name Mary Smith has two parts. Smith is the second name and Mary is the first name. While writing the citation, we write the second name first. So Smith comes first. Author's first and middle name should be written as initials. You don't put the full name for the first and the middle name. For example, the reference entry for a source written by Jane Mary Smith would begin with Smith, which is the last name, and then a comma, and then for Jane we put a J, a period, and then for Mary we put an M and a period. And that is exactly we write the name in citation of any particular source. Any question about this entry, this rule?
Sir,
The rule
I didn't
about the
understand the first.
what is it?
Sir, the first one is unclear. Can you explain again?
What is the first one? Oh, the line, related to the line.
Yes.
Okay, so all right. So
Sir, please upload this lecture on Moodle also.
okay, right. So so can you see these other files on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Let me first then. Let me share. Okay, let me give you the example later on for this indentation. Okay. Mm, Well, I think just to show it, I can even give you the example right now as well, just as a demonstration. Okay, so let's do it right now. Now look, it's like this. Now this is the page. So you can see this world page,
Yes, sir.
document, world document. Okay. Now currently these two lines, as you see them, there is no indentation over here. There is no hanging over here. If I need to apply hanging on it, it will be like this. So I will go to paragraph, and then in paragraph, I'll go to indentation. You can see the indentation over here. Notice this hanging, right? I'll press the hanging, and then 0.5. It should be 0.5. It is already 0.5, right? And over here it also says 0.5, and left, it is from the left. So I'll keep it just like this. Okay, and then I will say okay. Now look, the all the lines after the first line. So there is only one line after the first line. So that one line now is indented on the left side half inch. All right. So this is called hanging. So all the entries, if you have 10 entries of 10 resources in your paper or in your assignment, all of them should be written like this, right? So all the lines except the first line, they are indented for each entry. All right. So why do we do that? Basically, we do that to distinct every to distinct all the entries from each other. Okay. So if this entry, for example, has 3 lines in it, then the third line will also be indented just like this one. Okay. And then after that, the next entry begins. So when this indented part is over, that means now the next entry has begun, because this next entry, the first line of the next entry would be without indentation or without hanging. Did you get it?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. So it goes away now. Now these two rules related to hanging and related to the name or the order of the name. These two rules are common to all kind of entries, all 10 entries that you will have. But of course, you may not have more than one line in one or two entries. If that is the case, then this rule doesn't apply. It applies only if you have more than one lines. Okay. So now these are kind of 3 rules that we just covered. Okay. Now you don't need to be really concerned about this rule, because it is basically about if there are lot many authors that you have for one particular resource. So give the last name and first slash middle initial for all authors of a particular work up to and including 20 authors. Okay. Separate each author's initials from the next author in the list with a comma. Use an ampersand, which is and sign before the last author's name. If there are 21 or more authors, use an ellipsis, right? So that doesn't actually relate to you more than 21. But for 20 up till 20, yes, here is one thing important, that if you, for example, have 3 authors in the in the list, which is for one particular entry, you have 3 authors. So you will put the name of the first author in reverse order. The last name comes first. The initials of the first name come after, with period at their end. So after you wrote the first name, before you start writing the second name, you should put a comma after the period, and then you write the second name. Okay. and then after that another comma and then the third name. But before the last name, you also put the symbol of and, this one. I'll show you an example. There is an example on the next page that will help you understand it a little better. Okay, let's move on to the next rule. Reference list entry should be alphabetized by the last name of the first author of each work. All right. So you might wonder actually that the annotated bibliography that you are preparing, what order will you give to the entries? In what order will you write all the resources? Okay. So the answer of this question is you will write them in the alphabetical order with respect to the last name of the first author of each resource. Did you get it? Any confusion about it?
No, sir. I didn't get
Okay,
it.
so I hope you all also understand that it will be a little clear later on that the first piece of information for a resource that you put in a particular citation, that is the author. Okay, so author always comes first. The author's name always comes first for all the entries that you will put. Okay, therefore uh, it is obvious that if you plan to arrange all the resources alphabetically, then that arrangement would be with reference to the first name, because name is the first thing which is in each citation. But of course, we should also remember that it is the last name of the author which comes first, right? Therefore, the alphabetical arrangement would be with respect to the first letter of the last name of each author, right? Sometimes it's possible that you have two articles by the same author, right? So what order will you give to them? Which of these two articles or those two works should come first and which of them should come later, right? So if you have similar names for two resources, similar authors for two resources, then arrange them in the order of their date of publication. The one published first should come first, and the one published later should come later. It is also called chronological order, right? So it is from earliest to most recent. So the article published in 1990 should come first, and an article published in 1996 should come later, right? Now, another general rule that applies to all kind of resources that you are going to use. When referring to the titles of books, chapters, articles, reports, web pages, or other sources, capitalize only the first letter of the first word of the title and subtitle, the first word after a colon, or a dash in the title, and proper nouns. Okay, so what does it mean? It means titles of the resources that you use, you should have only the first letter of each title as the capital letter. Or if you have a subtitle, you can have capital letter for the first letter of that subtitle as well. Or if you have a colon or dash in the whole title, then the first letter of the word right after that colon or dash should also be capital. And finally, if you have a proper noun in your title, you know proper nouns are names. They are names of places, names of people, names of uh, planets, names, right? So if you have a proper noun in the title, the first letter of the proper noun will also be capital. All other letters are lowercases. All right. Now, this rule applies to all resources, but there are a few exceptions with related to academic journals. We will discuss them in the next section. Let's move on to the next rule. Italicize titles of longer works like books, edited collections, names of newspapers, and so on. Okay, so you written the titles of longer works in italic form. I hope you know what is what is italic. Anybody who doesn't know how to italicize? Anybody who doesn't know how to italicize? You all know it. Good. Okay. Do not italicize, underline, or put quotes around the titles of shorter works, such as chapters in books or essays in edited collections. Right? So, as you know, that the books contain chapters in them. Right? Similarly, edited collections. You know, there are books which are called edited books. I'm not sure if you have seen some of them or not, but usually the a book of poetry collection, usually that is an edited book, right? Sometimes there is a book of essay that is also is an edited book. So basically an edited book is a book which has chapters or articles in it written by different authors. That kind of book is called an edited book or edited collection, right? So books and edited collections, they have chapters and essays in them, as it is quite uh, obvious that the chapters and the essays in the books are shorter resources. They are shorter in size. Okay, so the rule for them is that we do not italicize the titles of the shorter works. Okay, so when you do not italicize the titles of the shorter works, the reader will be able to identify from that that a resource which has not been italicized is a shorter work. However, as we saw in the above rule, if you italicize a work, it will be considered as a longer work. It will be considered as a book or as an edited collection or as a newspaper. Okay. So remember that newspaper is also considered as a longer work. Why? Because a newspaper has lot many sections in it, right? So any work which has many sections in it is considered to be a longer work. Okay, now as you noticed over here that the rules for titles for academic journals are little different. Let's see what are those differences. Now we are over here. Basic rules for articles in academic journals. Okay. Um, Once again, these basic rules will apply to the academic journals of all kinds. Okay, so first rule, present journal titles in full. It is almost obvious. Second one, italicize journal titles. Okay, that also makes some sense. Why? Because journal journal is also a kind of longer work. Why? Because it has lot many research articles within it. Okay, and as a longer work, it should be italicized. Okay, so we get this point as well. The next rule about academic journal is this: maintain any non-standard punctuation and capitalization that is used by the journal in its title, right? So sometimes a title of a journal could be like this: philosophia, right? So you might notice that the few letters, like four letters after p, first p in this title, they are lower cases, right? Rest of all letters are upper cases. Why they are like that? Because the journal, the the editorial uh, board of that particular journal has decided to give that this kind of title to the journal, and they want the title to be written like that. Okay, now if that is the case, then you must stick to the preference of the journal. You should stick to the upper cases and the lower cases according to whatever lower cases or upper cases the journal has given to its title. And then the next rule, capitalize all major words in the titles of journals. Note that this differs from the rule for titling other common sources like books, reports, web pages, and so on described above. Okay. So for journals, for the titles of journals, you write capital letter for all the major words in the title. So when in a citation you have a source whose title you wrote with all the first letters of all the major words as capital, the reader will know that this particular source is a research journal. This rule applies only to the titles of research journals, that all the first letters of all the major words in the title are capital. Capitalize the first word of the titles and subtitles of journals, of journal articles, as well as the first word after a colon or a dash in the title or any proper nouns. Now, this is about the journal article. For the journal article, only the first letter of the title or the first letter of the subtitle is uppercase. Or any word which comes after a colon or after a dash or any word that is a proper noun, its first letter is uppercase. Next rule, do not italicize or underline the article title. So this is very important. Previously we learned that the titles of the books are italicized, okay, while titles of the shorter works are not italicized. If you keep that in mind, over here we are learning that the title of uh, a journal article is not italicized, it is not underlined as well, right? So we can easily remember it with reference to the title of a shorter work, right? So the research article is a sort of shorter work because it is a section in a full journal, right? Therefore, the rule of a shorter work can apply over here as well. So we do not italicize the title of a journal. Similarly, we do not enclose the article title in quotations. So for example, if you need to cite an article titled Deep Below the Mysteries of Marianas Trench that was published in the journal Oceanographic Study, a peer-reviewed publication, you will write the title as follows. Now look at the title of the article. This is title of the article. Deep Blue, D is uppercase because that is the first letter. T is uppercase because it is after colon. Marianas Trench, uppercase because this is a proper noun. All other letters are lower cases. But as far as the journal title is concerned, it's written like this. So notice two things. One, the first letter of all the major words, they are uppercases. Number two, the whole title is italicized. All right. So we covered the basic rules. We covered the rules related to how to write the names, related to what order you should give to the whole list, then related to how you should write the titles of the longer works, also how you should write the titles of shorter works. Additionally, you learned that there are different rules for articles in academic journals. So we learned how to write the title of the whole journal and how to write the title of article in a journal, right? Any questions so far about what we covered?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, maybe,
Now,
so can you see the example
of what?
of the everything that was explained?
Yeah. give me a second. I'm moving to the next section. There we have examples. Okay. Now I'm moving to the next section, reference list, author and authors. This section only explains to you once again how we write the name of the author. But there is some additional information too, which is helpful. Now, this is one complete citation of a source which has one author. Please see how it is written. Notice the last name Ahmad, comma, the initial of the first name S, a period, in parenthesis 2012, it is the year of publication, then a period, and then the title of the work. Okay, notice the way the title is written. Just the first letter of the whole title is uppercase, and the first title of the word after the colon is uppercase. All other letters are lowercases, and the whole title is italicized. Now, from the rules that we reviewed in the first section, we immediately now know that this is title of a book, because it is in the title of the book that just the first letter of the first word is uppercase, but rest of the letters are lowercases. Also, it is just the title of a book which is italicized, right? So this is an example of that. There is a period after that, Duke University Press. This is the publisher. Okay, we will learn more about this thing later on. But this is just a real life example of how we write the name of the source, name of the author of the source, right? Now, if you have two sources put together like this, then notice how they are written. The last name comes first, a comma, and then initial of first two names, C and J. After each initial, you need to put a period. Now, this is the full name in inverted order. But after that, you need to put a comma in order to separate this name from the rest of the names. Okay. The second name over here is John, which which is the last name, comma, O is the initial of the first name, P is the initial of the first name. A period after both initials. Okay. Now, after that, a different piece of information starts. What does it mean? It means this is the lost author over here for this particular resource. Because this is a lost author, therefore, we should put this and symbol before it as well. All right. So this is how we write two authors. Okay. There could be additional authors as well. Look over here. There are one author separated by comma, author number 2 separated by comma, author number 3 separated by comma, author number 4 separated by comma, author number 5 separated by comma, as well as separated by the symbol of and. Why? Because this name is the last name in the author's names. Got it? Any question about authors? Any question about authors? Okay. So,
No, sir.
if there is no question, I'm moving on to articles in periodicals. Okay, now students, I'm over here, articles in periodicals, not this part over here. So what is the basic form of the citation for an article in periodical? Now you should imagine for yourself, students, if you are using an article in your annotated bibliography and you are citing that, how will you write the information about that article in the form of an APA citation? This is how you will write it. Now, this is a universal example, over here. So author, first author, write the second author's name, write the third author's name. You might have one author. If that is the case, you will just write one, okay? You might have four authors. If that is the case, then write four authors, right? But remember, inverted order, okay? Also remember the uh, first name will be only in initial, only the initial for the first name of the author. Similarly, only initial for the middle name of the author, right? Only the last name is written full, okay? So we explained it already, we discussed it. So this is author's part. Now after that, this piece of information is required in the citation for a research journal in a, for a research paper in a journal. This piece of information is the year in which that article has been published. You put the year in parentheses and then you put a period over here. After that, you write the title of the article. Okay, notice these words, title of article has been written without italics. And these words, title of article has been written in such a manner that just the first letter of the first word is uppercase. You have to write the title of the article exactly in the same form. Just the first letter uppercase, all rest letters are lower cases. Okay. Of course, if there is a word after colon, then the first letter of that word will be uppercase. Okay. Or if there is a proper noun in the title, that proper noun will have an uppercase at the beginning. Okay. Those are the exceptions. We are aware of them. So title of the article, and then you put a period after that. This is very important. You cannot deviate from this. You have to exactly follow this pattern. Okay. You cannot put a comma over here. You have to put the period because that is what APA style is. And then after that, you put the title of the journal or title of the periodical. Exactly in the same format, right? The first letters of all the words in the title of a journal should be uppercase, and the whole title should be italicized. After that, you put a comma. You can't put a period over here. It has to be comma. And then you put the volume number. All periodicals have volume numbers written on the first page or inside the first page of the title page of the journal. You have to write the volume number in italics. You can see these words volume number are written in italics. You have to follow the same pattern. And then within the parenthesis, you write the issue number. Again, issue number is a piece of information which is written inside the title page of each research journal. You need to write that in parenthesis, then you put a comma after that. After the comma, you write the pages. What are the pages? Pages are the page range. Now, if you are taking a research article from a research journal, that research article might begin on page 25 of that research article or research journal, right? And this research article might end on page 39, starting from 25, ending at 39. So you need to indicate over here what are the pages of this particular research article that you are consulting to write this particular paper, right? So you will write pages 25 to 39 over here, and then don't forget to put a period after that again. If you have a stable ID of that particular research article, you can provide that. So if it is an article in print journal, this is the real life example of the citation of a research article. So please look at it. The name of the author, the year of the publication in parenthesis, a period, the title of the article without italics, just the first letter uppercase, a period after that, then title of the journal in italics, all uppercases, all first letters uppercases, then a comma after that, and then 15. What is this? This is volume number. Why? Because it is in italics, just like, right? So this is volume number, and then 3 within parenthesis. Okay, this 3 is what? This 3 is issue number, and then a comma, and then this is the page range. So this article, The Eclipse of Listening, begins from page 5 of this research journal and ends on page 13 of this research journal, and then a period after that. On the other hand, if you found this article online, article in electronic journal, if it is an online journal, how will you put the citation of this article? The initial information remains same. You have the author's name, you have the year of publication, you have the title of the article, this is long title, and then you have title of the journal, right, this one, and then you have the volume number, then you have the issue number, and then after comma you have the page range, a period, and then you put the whole URL. All right, any questions so far about this section? Things clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now this is how you will write the citation of a source if that source is a research article. Okay, now of course naturally, as Irfan was asking what if he wanted to use just the books, right? So how will you write the citation of a book if the resource that you are using is a book? So this is how we do that. So here is the basic format for books. So you first write the name of the author. We understood as a basic rule. It applies to all kind of resources. Then you write the year of publication in parentheses. After a period, you write the title of work, title of the book, basically. Notice the way it is written. Okay. So because it is a longer work, therefore it is in italics, and because it is title of a book, therefore just the first letters are uppercases, rest of the letters are not uppercases. Then a period, and then you put the publisher name. We did not have previously in the case of a journal, but we need it in the case of a book. So publisher name and a period, and then DOI, which is the URL, the stable ID, online ID number. If you have that, you can put that over here if available. So this is the universal example, but this is a real life example. So the real life example says Stoneman, R, which is the name of the author, and then you have the year of publication 2008, a period, and then title of the book, Alexander the Great, A Life in Legend, a period. Yale University Press is the publisher, and then you have the period. All right. So this is about a general book that you want to include in your bibliography. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, it's possible that the book that you are using, it does not have an author, right? It is possible that the book you are using, it does not have an author. Rather, the book has an editor, right? So if a book has an author, that means that the whole book has been written by one person, one individual. But if it is an edited book, then the book will not have a collective author, but it will have an editor, right? So if it is an edited book, then how you are going to write its citation? Now, this is the format that you follow. Instead of the author, you put the editor's name. But because this is editor and not the author, therefore you put the word, this abbreviation of editor over here, ed and a period in parenthesis. You don't need this if over here you have the author's name, because author's name is understood. Okay, the first, it is understood that the first name in any citation is going to be the author's name, right? But if it is not an author, then you need to make it clear by putting the two letters ed, editor, over here. So period, and then a period outside the parenthesis, then year of publication, a period, title of work, right? It is a longer work. Then a period, publisher, a period, and then DOI, which is the URL, the stable ID, if you have that. So this is the real life example. The first editor, the second editor. Okay. Now EDS, YS, because now these are two persons. And then year of publication, title of the book, a new companion to Malroy, and then a period, and then you have finally the publisher. Okay, and it goes on like that, students. Basically, you know, the kind of resources that you are going to use, one cannot anticipate what kind of resource you get hold of. Sometimes you might consult a book which actually was a translation, right? If that is the case, you need to open this website once again. You need to, you know, browse the way just I'm doing it in front of you. Go to the book section, go to the references book section, and then find out, okay, how to write a translated book, citation of a translated book. Okay, so you will immediately see over here that you need to have the author, then you need to have the year of publication, then you need to have the title of the book like this. Okay, and then uh, within the parenthesis you need the translator along with that, this abbreviation TRANS period, and then the publisher, and then the original work published year, and then DOI if available. So this is the real life example. You know, Plato, you know, he's a Greek author. Whenever we read him, we read his English translation. So the book was published in 1989, uh, and then a period. The title of the book is Symposium, title of the work. And then after the title of work, you need to have the translator. So who is the translator? A. Nehemias and P. Woodruff. Now, when translator's name goes like this, it has to be written in its common natural order. We don't invert the names inside the citation. That happens only in the beginning of the citation. Okay, and then after you write the translator's name, you put a comma, and then you write these words TRANS period. That they would mean that these two names are translators. And then who published this book? Symposium. And then also give in brackets the date, when original date when the original book was published. You know, this date is the publication of the translation, 1989, right? Plato was born like, you know, 2000 years ago. So 1989 does not apply to him. It applies to the translated book that you have in hand, right? So you need to give the original work published date or era over here, whatever that date is. Okay. So this was about the book, right? Any question about the book section? Students, any question about the book section?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, I'm just going to quickly share one more section, and then I will be suggesting you to, follow this pattern of exploring how to cite various resources. Okay, so one more that I will be picking would be the electronic sources, right? So what if the source that you are using is an electronic source? By electronic source we mean a source which is available online. So it could be either a web page, or it would be a piece of online content, a content which is available online. So for example, if you have piece of information on Facebook or on Twitter, right? So Facebook or Twitter, not exactly web pages, I mean not in the sense of having a blog, right? But still the information is online, how to use that, right? So this is how we go about it. If the page names an individual author, cite their name first. Okay, the web page information does not always have the author's name, right? So if you have the author, then you put the author in the same way as you already know about it, and then you put the year, month, and date of the information, the publication of the information. Again, if you find this information, then title of the page, then site name, and then URL. Now, see the real life example. So this could be the author's name, price, comma, D period. This is the year of publication. This is the month of publication. This is the date of publication, right? There has to be a comma after year, no comma after March, a period, and then title of that particular page, right? So laziness does not exist. A period. It could be title of an article as well, which is online. A period, and then the name of the site, right? Site name, medium, a period, and then the URL. You will just copy the URL and paste it over here. Okay. If the sources, if the resource was written by a group or organization, use the name of the group or organization as the author. Additionally, if the author and site name are the same, omit the site name from the citation. Now, if it is a group which has created that web page, the group name comes first, year, month, date, title of page, site name, URL. So look at it. This is the group name, American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. This is the group name which has created that website. Okay, so that comes first, then a period, then year. Well, that has created that web page. I think it's a better way to put it. Okay, so you have then year, month, and date, then title of the page. Justice served, case closed for over 40 dog fighting victims. Right? So, so title of this online article, whatever name you want to give it, or the page, and then the link over here, and then the link over here. It is possible that you do not have the author name at all. Additionally, in that case, what you should do, you can start with the title. Additionally, include a retrieval date when the page's content is likely to change over time. Like, for instance, if you are citing a wiki that is publicly edited. So title of the page comes first, then year, month, date, site name, retrieved month, date, year from URL. So this is title of the page, then the date of publication, the name of the site, and the date of retrieval, and that after putting the word from, you put the link over here. Okay, so you might notice, students, there are minor differences depending upon the kind of information that is available to you to cite according to APA. It is the same case with other styles as well, but we are learning APA, so let's stay on it. So depending upon the kind of resource that you are using, please do refer to this website uh, whenever you need it. For example, if it is a Wikipedia article, they have again given the information about how to cite a Wikipedia article. If it is a online scholarly journal article, again, how to do that, they have given information about that too, right? So it goes on and on. So, but I have tried to cover most common kind of resources that you will be using: research articles, the books, and electronic sources. Okay, but then there are audio visual resources as well, like a film or documentary that you are using. There could be some other non-print sources as well, the sources which have